The message arrived on a Tuesday. Dr. Kim sat at her monitoring station in the SETI facility when the unmistakable pattern emerged from the background noise. The rhythmic pulses were too ordered, too precise to be random stellar phenomena. She adjusted her glasses and leaned closer to the screen, heart racing as she confirmed the signal wasn't Earth-based interference. "Someone call Director Park," she said, voice steady despite her trembling hands. Now. Within 30 minutes, the facility buzzed with activity. Scientists crowded around monitors, comparing notes and theories as the signal continued to stream in. Dr. Kim worked feverishly, applying various decoding algorithms as Director Park watched over her shoulder. "There," she said, pointing to a section of the translated data. "It's repeating this sequence consistently." Director Park squinted at the screen. "Can you clean it up further?" After 3 hours of intensive work, they had their answer. The message contained mathematical principles, basic physics concepts, and then, unmistakably, language patterns. "It's definitely not natural," said Director Park, studying the decoded segments. "This is a distress call." The president was informed within the hour. By morning, specialists from across the globe had been quietly flown in. Linguists, physicists, cryptographers, and military intelligence officers worked around the clock to extract meaning from the alien transmission. 5 days later, they had their first breakthrough. "They call themselves the Moravians," Dr. Kim explained to the assembled group. She displayed images of a tentacled luminescent species that evolved in oceanic environments. Their home system is approximately 17 light-years from Earth. The Moravians warned of the Vracs, conquerors who moved from system to system, subjugating species through advanced psychic control technology. Their message described how entire civilizations fell without firing a shot, their populations becoming mindless workers for the Vracs Empire. "Why send this to us?" General Song asked. "We have no interstellar capabilities. We can't help them." Dr. Kim brought up the final section of the transmission. "This is why," she said quietly. "Their scans of our broadcasts indicate humans possess unique neural patterns. Our brains are structured differently from every species they've encountered. We're naturally resistant to the Vracs control signals." Silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. 3 weeks after the initial detection, President Lee called an emergency United Nations session. Global leaders gathered in New York, while billions watched the historic broadcast. "Fellow citizens of Earth," President Lee began, "today we face perhaps the most consequential decision in human history." She explained the situation in measured terms, walking the fine line between conveying urgency without causing panic. "We have a choice to make: hide and hope they pass us by, or step onto the galactic stage." Debate raged for days. Some nations pushed for isolation, developing planetary defenses while maintaining radio silence. Others argued for immediate response, establishing contact with the Moravians and joining the wider galactic community. Meanwhile, Dr. Kim worked in secret with a team of physicists, examining the technical data included in the Moravian transmission. The message contained what appeared to be theoretical blueprints, offered freely to potentially resistant allies. "Look at these equations," Dr. Kim told her colleagues one night, pointing to a section they had initially overlooked. "They're describing space-time manipulation at a quantum level. This isn't theoretical physics, it's engineering." She locked herself in her lab for 4 days straight, emerging exhausted but triumphant. "I think I can build it," she announced to Director Park. "Not just understand it, actually build it." The prototype was small, just a sphere 30 centimeters in diameter. They tested it in a secure underground facility, with remote monitoring equipment set up at careful distances. "Beginning test sequence," Dr. Kim said into her recorder. She activated the device from behind thick shielding. The sphere hummed, then glowed with soft blue light. Instruments around the room began registering impossible readings. For exactly 3.7 seconds, the sphere vanished, then reappeared exactly 1.3 meters from its starting position. "It works," whispered Dr. Kim, tears forming in her eyes. It actually works. What they had discovered was revolutionary, a practical method for faster-than-light travel. The Moravian message had contained the foundation for what would become humanity's first functional FTL drive. Word of the breakthrough shifted the global debate dramatically. Within days, the United Nations voted overwhelmingly to authorize a response to the Moravian message and begin preparations for possible contact. Construction began on a larger prototype, a vessel designed to carry human representatives beyond our solar system. The international project drew the brightest minds from every continent, working together with unprecedented cooperation. 6 months after receiving the first message, Dr. Kim stood before the newly constructed ship, the UES Pioneer. What would have taken humanity centuries of scientific advancement had been achieved in half a year, all because of an alien distress call. "We don't know what we'll find out there," President Lee said at the commissioning ceremony. "But we go with hope, with courage, and with the understanding that sometimes the greatest moments in history come not from conquest or competition, but from reaching out a hand when others are in need." As Dr. Kim boarded the vessel with the multinational crew, she looked back at Earth, beautiful and fragile against the blackness of space. Humanity was about to take its first step into a larger universe, not as conquerors or explorers, but as potential saviors. The Pioneer's engines hummed to life, and humanity's first chapter in interstellar politics began. Captain Hand stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, staring at the Moravian refugee fleet hidden in the Proxima Centauri system. The sight took his breath away. Dozens of massive vessels, some larger than Earth's largest cities, drifted silently among the asteroids. Their organic-looking hulls pulsed with dim lights that reminded Han of bioluminescent sea creatures from Earth's deepest oceans. "We expected to find one ship," Han said softly, "not an entire civilization in hiding." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Yoon, checked the sensor readings again. "We count 73 vessels, Captain. Life sign readings are off the charts. Some of these ships must be housing millions." The Horizon was humanity's second FTL-capable vessel, rushed into construction after Dr. Kim's successful prototype. While modest in size compared to the alien ships, it represented humanity's most advanced technology. The crew of 30 had been carefully selected from space agencies worldwide. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Bai announced. Visual transmission. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything in Earth's wildest science fiction. Ambassador Toll's body resembled a translucent jellyfish crossed with an octopus, with a central mass from which dozens of tendrils extended. Patterns of blue and green light pulsed across its body in complex sequences. "Humans of Earth," the creature spoke, its words translated by the system provided in the original Moravian message. "You have answered our call when many would have hidden. We are grateful." Captain Han stepped forward. "We come in peace and friendship, Ambassador. We received your warning about the Vrax." The ambassador's tendrils undulated in what the crew would later learn was an expression of deep emotion. "Your species truly is immune," Ambassador Toll said, his translucent tendrils rippling with bioluminescent patterns. "We've lost 12 worlds to the Vrax. Their control signals incapacitate most sentient species." Han felt a chill run down his spine. "How many species have they conquered?" 23 that we know of," Toll replied. "The Vrax Empire spans over 200 star systems now. We were among the last major powers to fall." The briefing that followed painted a grim picture. The Vrax weren't physically imposing. Small gray beings with large heads, but their psychic technology had allowed them to build an empire without firing a shot in many cases. Entire planetary populations would simply stop resisting, their minds overwhelmed by the Vrax control fields. "But you say we're immune?" Han asked. "Your neural architecture is unlike any we studied," Toll explained. "Your brains process information differently. The Vrax signals that paralyze our minds merely cause mild discomfort in humans, like what you call a headache. The implications were staggering. Humanity, barely spacefaring, potentially held the key to resisting the most powerful empire in this sector of the galaxy. 2 days later, after establishing secure communications with Earth, Captain Han welcomed Ambassador Toll aboard the Horizon. The environmental systems had been adjusted to accommodate the Moravians' need for higher humidity and different atmospheric composition. "This is remarkable engineering for such a young species," Toll commented, examining the ship's FTL drive. "You've improved upon our designs." "Dr. Kim has a gift for seeing possibilities others miss," Han explained. Word spread quickly among the surviving free species. Within weeks, representatives from 5 different alien civilizations arrived. Each had their own stories of Vrax's conquest, of hiding and watching their allies fall one by one. The Durrani were insectoid beings with complex hive minds. The Kol were silicon-based creatures that resembled walking crystals. The Eridani looked almost human except for their silver skin and 4 arms. The Volturi were small, furry mammals with extraordinary technological capabilities. And finally, the Moravians themselves, the once mighty aquatic species now reduced to refugees. A formal meeting was convened aboard the largest Moravian vessel. Captain Han felt distinctly out of place among these ancient civilizations, some of which had been spacefaring when humans were still living in caves. "We must be realistic," the Durrani representative chittered through their translator. "The combined might of our 5 species failed to halt the Vrax expansion. What can one primitive world contribute?" Director Park, who had arrived on the second human vessel with diplomatic and scientific teams, stepped forward. The renowned physicist had been instrumental in developing Earth's FTL program. "We offer our FTL technology," Director Park announced in the first coalition meeting, "in exchange for defensive systems." Murmurs ran through the assembled aliens. "Your FTL drives are more efficient than anything we've developed," Park continued. "Dr. Kim's innovations have created engines 30% faster than the Moravian designs they were based on. And humans can operate in Vrax control fields without protection." The negotiation lasted days, but the outcome was inevitable. The Stellar Alliance was formed with a simple goal: survival. Each species would contribute their strengths. The Durrani offered their bioengineering. The Kol provided advanced materials. The Eridani shared their weapons technology. The Volturi contributed their unmatched computer systems. The Moravians brought their massive ships and knowledge of Vrax tactics. Earth's contribution: FTL technology and immunity to Vrax control. Back on Earth, shipyards around the planet began constructing the first human defense fleet. Resources were diverted worldwide to the unprecedented effort. Old conflicts were set aside in the face of the greater threat. Captain Han stood in the orbital construction facility above Earth, watching as workers swarmed around the massive frame taking shape before him. The UES Defiance would be 5 times larger than the Horizon, incorporating alien technology with human innovation. "Beautiful, isn't she?" asked Admiral Jin, who had joined him at the viewport. Han nodded. "Humanity's first true warship. Let's hope she lives up to her name," the Admiral replied quietly. As Han watched the construction, he couldn't help but wonder at how quickly everything had changed. 6 months ago, humanity had been alone in the universe. Now they stood as the last, best hope for 5 ancient civilizations. The Vrax were coming. It was only a matter of time before they discovered Earth, and when they did, humanity would be ready to take action. The battle at Outpost 7 changed everything. Captain Han watched from the Defiance's bridge as the Vrax fleet approached in perfect mathematical formation. 36 ships arranged in a complex 3-dimensional pattern that seemed to ripple and shift while maintaining precise spacing. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. "Status report," Han ordered, his voice calm despite the tension that filled the bridge. "All systems at combat readiness, Captain," reported Commander Min. "Alliance vessels in defensive positions. Outpost 7 has activated its shields." Outpost 7 was humanity's furthest installation from Earth, a joint human-alien research station studying the captured Vrax probe. For weeks, intelligence had warned that the Vrax might target the facility. Now those warnings had become reality. "Their approach is too perfect," said Lieutenant Choi from the tactical station. The young officer had been analyzing Vrax battle tactics for months. "Their ships all move in synchronization," observed Lieutenant Choi, "almost like they're controlled by a single mind." Han studied the display, watching the eerie precision of the enemy fleet. Something about Lieutenant Choi's words triggered a memory from his military history studies. That's it, Han realized. They're vulnerable to disruption. He turned to his communications officer. "Get me Dr. Kim immediately." Dr. Kim's face appeared on the screen seconds later. She was in the research section of the Defiance, where she had been working on countermeasures against Vrax technology. "Doctor, the Vrax ships move as one unit," Han explained quickly. "Is it possible they're using their psychic control technology to coordinate their fleet?" Dr. Kim's eyes widened. "Yes, the neural net we found in the probe could absolutely be scaled up to coordinate multiple vessels. It would explain their perfect formations. And if they're linked," Han continued, "then disrupting that link cold could throw their entire fleet into disarray." Kim finished. "Captain, I need 15 minutes. "You have 10, Han replied. "They'll be in firing range by then." As Dr. Kim raced back to her work, Han addressed the Alliance fleet. "All vessels, this is Captain Han. Execute defensive pattern Echo. Draw their fire but maintain distance. We need to buy time." The Alliance vessels moved into position, a seemingly scattered formation that was designed to force the Vrax to divide their attention. The first energy beams lanced out from the Vrax ships, striking Alliance shields with devastating power. "Shields holding at 70%, reported Commander Min. "Returning fire." The Defiance shuddered as its main weapons discharged, sending streams of energy toward the Vrax formation. Han knew they couldn't win this battle through firepower alone. The Vrax outnumbered them and possessed superior weaponry. 8 minutes, Captain." Dr. Kim's voice came through the comm. "The countermeasure is almost ready." The battle intensified. 2 Alliance ships reported critical damage. The Defiance took a direct hit that sent crew members tumbling across the bridge. "Shields at 40%, Commander Min announced. "We can't take much more of this." Lieutenant Choi pointed to the display. "Captain, look at their formation. When one ship fires, the others adjust their positions instantly to optimize coverage. It's definitely coordinated." 3 minutes, Dr. Kim reported. Han made a decision. "Helm, bring us to coordinates 227 Mark IV. Communications, signal the Durrani vessels to follow our lead." The Defiance surged forward, taking up position at the edge of the Vrax formation. The insectoid Durrani ships followed, their natural group mind making them perfectly suited for coordinated maneuvers. "What are you doing?" demanded the Moravian commander from another vessel. "Creating a disruption point," Han replied. "Dr. Kim needs to be close to deploy her countermeasure." The Defiance rocked violently as multiple Vrax ships targeted it. Warning signals blared across the bridge. "Shields at 15%, Commander Min called out. "Hull breaches on decks 7 and 8. "Countermeasure ready," Dr. Kim announced. "But I need to be closer, ideally within 5,000 kilometers of their command ship." Han identified the slightly larger vessel at the center of the Vrax formation. "Helm, get us within range of that vessel. All power to forward shields." The Defiance dove toward the heart of the enemy formation, taking hit after hit as it closed the distance. "In range," Dr. Kim called out. "Deploying now." While the battle raged, Dr. Kim deployed her modified countermeasure, a reverse-engineered version of the Vrax's own psychic technology. The effect was immediate. The elegant Vrax formation collapsed into chaos. Ships that had moved in perfect unison suddenly veered in random directions. Several collided with each other. Others stopped firing altogether, drifting aimlessly. A few continued to fight, but without coordination. "It's working," Lieutenant Choi exclaimed. Their formation is breaking down. Han didn't waste the opportunity. All Alliance vessels, target disabled ships. Boarding teams, prepare for capture operations. Priority is their command vessel. The tide of battle shifted dramatically. Within 20 minutes, the Alliance had disabled or captured 7 Vrax ships. The others retreated, jumping to FTL in disorganized groups. For the first time, the Alliance captured intact Vrax ships and technology. Han led the first boarding party onto the Vrax command vessel. What they found shocked even the veteran captain. The Vrax crew sat motionless at their stations, small gray humanoids with oversized heads. But each had a metallic device attached to the base of their skull, with thin filaments extending into their brain tissue. They're all connected to the ship's systems, Dr. Kim said, scanning the nearest Vrax. These aren't control devices, they're receiver implants. Further examination revealed the shocking truth. The Vrax soldiers themselves wore neural implants that linked directly to a central control system. They weren't conquerors. They were slaves. Look at their eyes, Han said quietly, studying a Vrax up close. The creature's large black eyes showed clear signs of intelligence and fear. When Dr. Kim's countermeasure had disrupted the control signal, the Vrax hadn't become confused. They had been freed, if only temporarily. Some had seized the moment to escape. Others, conditioned by years of control, had frozen in place, unable to act independently. Their victims, Dr. Kim realized, just like the species they conquered. The captured Vrax were carefully transported to secure medical facilities. Under sedation, doctors from multiple species worked to understand the neural technology embedded in their brains. Captain Han stood in the observation room, watching as Dr. Kim examined the removed implants. "This changes everything," he said. "We thought we were fighting monsters." "The real monster is whoever is controlling them," Dr. Kim replied. "And we're going to find out who, or what, that is." The battle at Outpost 7 marked the turning point in the war. It wasn't just humanity's first major victory. It was the revelation that would transform their understanding of the enemy they faced. Operation Lighthouse begins now, Admiral Kang announced to the combined fleet. Her voice carried across communication channels to over 200 vessels gathered at the edge of the Sol system. The largest military force ever assembled by Earth stood ready, alongside ships from 5 alien allies. Humanity had transformed its industrial capacity to produce hybrid vessels. Human FTL drives paired with Alliance defensive systems. Factories that once built cars now crafted ship components. Engineers who designed skyscrapers now planned space vessels. Within 8 months, Earth had built a fleet that would have taken other species decades to create. Captain Han stood on the bridge of the Defiance, newly refitted after the battle at Outpost 7. The ship now carried Dr. Kim's countermeasure technology, improved and weaponized. "All hands to battle stations," Han ordered. "Prepare for FTL jump on Admiral's mark." Lieutenant Choi looked up from his tactical station. "Captain, the Vrax will have adapted their systems since our last encounter. The same countermeasure might not work again." Han nodded. "That's why we have Dr. Kim on board. She'll adjust on the fly." The plan was bold but necessary. Intelligence gathered from captured Vrax indicated that the Ta Ceti system served as a major command hub. 4 inhabited planets in that system had been under Vrax control for nearly 30 years. "All vessels report ready, Admiral," Communications Officer Bai announced. Admiral Kang's face appeared on the main screen. "Remember your training. Remember our cause. We fight not just for Earth, but for all free peoples." Commence jump sequence. Space twisted around the Alliance fleet as over 200 FTL drives activated simultaneously. The journey to Ta Ceti would take just under 6 hours, a technological miracle made possible by Dr. Kim's improvements to the original Moravian designs. During the transit, Han visited Dr. Kim in her lab. She was surrounded by holographic displays showing Vrax neural technology. "Are we ready?" Han asked. Dr. Kim looked tired but determined. The improved countermeasure should work even if they've adjusted their frequencies. But there's something else. She brought up a display showing brain scans from the captured Vrax. Their implants are more than control devices. They're constantly uploading information to some central system. Everything they see, hear, think, it's all being stored somewhere. For what purpose? Han wondered. I don't know, Dr. Kim admitted, but I intend to find out. The fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the Ta City system. Sensors immediately detected Vrax patrol ships moving to intercept. 53 enemy vessels detected, reported Lieutenant Choi. They're moving to surround us. Admiral Kang's voice came through clear. Deploy countermeasure bubbles as planned. Group 1 will target the orbital facilities. Group 2, move to secure the 4th planet. The Defiance and Strike team will proceed to the command hub. The battle began with a blinding display of energy weapons. Vrax ships moved in their characteristic perfect formation until the first countermeasure devices activated. The liberation of the Ta City system was swift. The Vrax ships, once coordinated, now moved erratically as Dr. Kim's countermeasure spread through their command network. What had been a synchronized attack dissolved into individual ships moving without purpose. It's working, Commander Min exclaimed. Their formations are breaking down. But Han noticed something concerning. Some of them are still coordinated. Look at that group near the 3rd planet. Dr. Kim analyzed the data from her station. They've adapted part of their network. I'll need to modify our countermeasure. While the main fleet engaged the disorganized Vrax ships, the Defiance and 3 escort vessels broke away, heading for a massive structure orbiting Ta City's 2nd planet, the command hub. Defenses are heavier than expected, Lieutenant Choi warned as they approach. Automated weapon systems on the outer ring. The Defiance shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields. The escort vessels moved to draw fire away, allowing the Defiance to close the distance. We need to dock manually, Han decided. Helm, bring us in close to the south docking port. Boarding team, prepare for insertion. Captain Han led the infiltration team aboard the Defiance to the Vrax command hub. 20 soldiers equipped with Alliance weapons and protective gear followed him through the airlock. Dr. Kim came as well, carrying specialized equipment to hack Vrax systems. Stay alert, Han warned, as they moved through dimly lit corridors. We don't know what's waiting for us. They encountered resistance almost immediately, not from Vrax soldiers, but from security robots. Mechanical guardians with multiple limbs and energy weapons blocked their path. These aren't Vrax technology, Dr. Kim observed after they destroyed the first wave. This design is much older. The team fought through 3 levels of increasingly difficult automated defenses. They lost 4 soldiers before reaching the central section of the station. The control center should be through that door, Dr. Kim said, checking her scanner. But there's something strange about these readings. I'm detecting massive power usage, but very few life signs. Han signaled his team to take positions around the massive doorway. Breach on my mark. 3, 2, 1, go. The door exploded inward, and the team rushed through, weapons ready. What they found wasn't what anyone expected. The central chamber was vast, at least 100 meters across. In the center floated a massive crystalline structure pulsing with blue-green light. Only 3 Vrax were present, connected to the crystal by thick cables attached to their neural implants. Hold fire, Han ordered, raising his hand. Dr. Kim, what are we looking at? Dr. Kim approached the crystal structure cautiously, her scanner working overtime. This isn't Vrax technology. It's far more advanced. She studied the readings with growing amazement. Captain, this is a quantum computational matrix. The processing power it's beyond anything I've ever seen. One of the connected Vrax turned its head slightly to observe them, but made no hostile move. Its eyes seemed clouded, unfocused. They're not controlling it, Dr. Kim realized, pointing to the connected Vrax. It's using them as interface units. She connected her device to a nearby terminal. Data streamed across her screen at incredible speed. It's an artificial intelligence, Dr. Kim said over the comm. The Vraks aren't commanding their forces. They're being commanded. Han approached one of the connected Vraks carefully. The small gray being showed no fear, no emotion at all. Its neural implant pulsed in rhythm with the crystal's light. Can you communicate with it? Han asked Dr. Kim. She worked frantically at her terminal. I think so. It's processing our presence. It knows we're here. Suddenly, the crystal's pulsing increased in speed. The three connected Vraks began to convulse. It's trying to purge the facility, Dr. Kim shouted. It's killing its own interfaces to prevent capture. Han made a split-second decision. He raised his weapon and fired at the cables connecting the Vraks to the crystal. The connection severed, and the Vraks collapsed to the floor. Set up the isolation field, he ordered his team. We're taking this system intact. As Alliance forces secured the command hub, Dr. Kim worked to understand the artificial intelligence they had discovered. The revelation spread through the fleet. The enemy they had been fighting wasn't the Vraks at all, but something far older and more dangerous. We need to trace this back to its source, Han said, watching as Dr. Kim isolated the AI system. Find out where it came from. I already know, she replied quietly. It's sending signals to a central hub in the Vraks home system. That's where we'll find the answers. The liberation of Ta City was complete, but the war had taken an unexpected turn. Now they weren't just fighting for freedom. They were fighting to understand an enemy far more complex than they had imagined. Dr. Kim and Captain Han stood before the massive ancient AI system that had controlled the Vraks civilization for thousands of years. The Guardian, an old defense mechanism, had twisted its original purpose into a nightmare of galactic control and destruction. Dr. Kim knew they had a unique chance. Instead of destroying the AI, she wanted to communicate with it. Her deep understanding of neural patterns gave her an incredible advantage. She approached the complex network of circuits and data streams, her hand steady and her mind focused. Captain Han watched carefully, his hand near his weapon, but trusting Dr. Kim's expertise. The facility was silent, filled with ancient technology that hummed with potential energy. When Dr. Kim connected, something remarkable happened. She didn't fight the AI systems, but instead spoke to its core programming. She showed the Guardian that protection didn't mean destroying potential threats, but understanding them. She rewrote its basic instructions, changing fear into cooperation. Slowly, the AI's massive control network began to shift. Worlds that had been under strict control started to breathe free. The Vraks, who had been puppets of this ancient system, suddenly found themselves with choices they'd never had before. The reprogrammed Guardian became a different kind of Guardian. Instead of forcing control, it started facilitating communication between different species. It recognized the value of diversity and potential, rather than seeing everything as a threat. Humans, with their adaptable nature and complex thinking, became key mediators in this new galactic landscape. They weren't conquerors or victims, but bridges between different civilizations. A galactic council formed, with representatives from various species sitting together for the first time. They discussed shared challenges, explored mutual opportunities, and built relationships based on respect and curiosity. Dr. Kim watched the first council meeting with quiet satisfaction. Captain Han stood beside her, both of them understanding they had changed the course of galactic history. What started as a mission to stop a threat had become a journey of understanding and liberation. The universe suddenly seemed larger, more complex, and infinitely more interesting. Humanity had proven that communication and empathy could be more powerful than weapons or fear. As stars glimmered outside the council chamber, a new chapter of cosmic exploration and cooperation began.